Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I want to talk about the POS button translations in iOS Nav or iOS Central. So we got occasionally asked by some of the customers, like if we are able to translate the language on the POS buttons to another language other than English. So if you are using Dynamics Nav or Business Central, then based on the language pack you purchase, then you could see, if you go to select language, then you can see what other language other than English you can select from. Okay, so you could see I have a bunch of them. And I can even select like Chinese, traditional Taiwan. So after I select the other language, then I go to when I open my Windows client, then I can see the menus, navigations are translated to another language. But that will not affect the POS button translate. Even you select another language on the POS buttons depends on because this is a iOS retail add-on. So it's not Business Central. It's not out-of-box Nav or Business Central. iOS retail is already an add-on. So on the store card or staff card, then they have the language code. You can select a different language code for the POS button translation. So for example, right now on the store card, I have added a new language code, and this language code is a simplified Chinese. Okay, as long as you have a Windows language ID, then you can add a new language code for that Windows language ID from this languages table for the POS. Okay. So I add a new one, which is CHN, and it's simplified Chinese. And on the store card, I can select this language code. Once I select this language code, then the language on the POS, like no matter which staff you log in, then it will inherit the language code from the store card. So this kind of a global setting for the POS, and depends on which store that POS belongs to. If the store card has this language code, and on the staff card, if you have the language code blank, which is going to use the system default language, and then the staff, when the staff log into the POS, it's going to use the language code from the store card. But if you leave this language code on the store card blank, and then you go to the staff card, and so the store will use the system default language. And on the staff, for example, you have some staff, they know English very well, but for some specific staff, maybe they only know their native language, then you can specify on the staff card. So this setting will override the language setting from the store card. Okay, so if we select this option, then let's open out. So let's go back. So because I already have the POS open, usually the POS load will take some time, so I want to save some time in this video. So the original setting when I opened my POS is using the staff card will leave the language, all the staff card leave the language code blank. So which means the staff card will use the setup from the store card for the language. And for the store, I'm using the store as 001, and that's used to change this language code to SHN. This is the original settings when I opened that POS, and let's just leave this way. So if you use that setting and you go to your retail users, then you can see on this retail users JCW, I'm using this store as 001 and the POS P001. And on the POS itself, then you have the menu profile. On the menu profile, then I'm using the default menu profile. Okay, the default. If you added this, then you can, for example, if you click on the three dot beside the start menu, and you can do some button translation. And if you enter this CHN, this language code, you could see already did this button translation. Okay, so then when you open the POS, then you will see everything I translated there will showing up on the POS. So I'm gonna show you the result, how it looks like when we open the POS, because I already opened the POS with the setup I have there. Okay, and okay, so if you go to the POS, this POS settings is with the store with the language code Simplified Chinese, and all the stuff I log in as Staff 101. On the Staff card 101, I have left the language code blank, which means it's gonna use the setup from the store language code. Okay, so you could see I did manual translation for those buttons, and you could see these buttons already showing up in the Simplified Chinese. But because I didn't do the translation for the other buttons, since this is only a demo, I don't have the time to translate everything. But you can translate the other menus as well. I only translated the start menu, so that's why you could see these buttons showing up in the Simplified Chinese. But you can translate the other menus as well in the POS button translation. Then you will see everything, all these buttons will be translated in the other language. So and also I think those buttons are important to translate, but you can see even I do all the menus translation for these buttons, but the other language, like this total discount payment balance, will still showing up in English. So this will not be translated. So that's a limitation. And the header information, you see the header and the footer, they do not get translated. Only the POS buttons, when you do it from the menu profile and do the POS button translation, then it's going to translate all those buttons. But I think that's already helpful. If you have some staff, they only know certain language, then you can set up the language code of language that staff knows in the staff card. Okay. And so this setup is with the settings I have when I have the store card with language code Simplified Chinese, but I have the staff card with all the blank language code. So they inherit from the store card. Another settings is like you can leave if you want the default, because the store card, if you leave it blank, then it's gonna use the default language, okay, of your system, of your Windows operating system. For this operating system, if you look at the default, the region settings, if you look at my default language, then it's the English United States, okay, English United States. And so that's just cancel this, then open the POS again. Since the POS load will take some time, so I'm gonna show you if on the store card I remove the language code setting, then it's gonna use the system default, okay? And then on the staff card, I leave all the other stuff. So on the staff card, because I only use this staff ID 101 to log in, I can specify this on this, only for this employee, it's gonna use this language, Simplified Chinese. And all the other stuff, they still have a blank language code. So, and because they still have the blank language code, then they're gonna use the system default. And store card also have a blank language code. So all the other stuff will use the system default language. Okay, so now I'm gonna open my POS again. So I go to my Windows POS. This version it's not run client. You have to go to Windows POS, run Windows POS. For the version lower than Business Central, then you have to use the run client to open the POS. For Business Central later, then you have to use Windows POS to open the POS. Okay. So this takes some time. That's why I had the POS open already when I did the first demo to demo the staff card has a language code, but the store card has the blank only on the store card you specify the language code, but on the staff card leave it blank. But because this takes lots of time for the POS to load, on this demo environment, so that's why. Okay, so, and this part is like I have the store card, which has a blank language code, but on the staff card, I specify a specific language code. So you can do it either way, okay? Either you specify a language code on the store card, then all the stuff will inherit the store language setting when you log into POS, or you can specify it on the staff card and leave the store card blank. So this scenario is demonstrate like I have this on the store card, I have a blank language code. On the staff card, I specify the language code. So then you could see, in this case, I also have my login with this stuff. I also have all my, all the other, you see I have my menus, like this part I translated, and they're translated in the simplified Chinese. But let's go back. Let's log in with another stuff, okay? Log off the POS. Then for another stuff, let's see which stuff is for this store as well as 0001. Okay, so I have another stuff. 102 is for this store as well. Then because I didn't put in language code for this stuff, then on the store card I also have a blank language code. So when I open the POS with stuff 102, then it's supposed to show me everything in English, even for the POS buttons I translated. Okay, and I just need to remove, it doesn't have, so I can log in directly with this. So let's run the Windows POS again, and this time as I'm gonna log in with the staff ID 102, then it should have everything showing up in English, because I left the store card with the blank language code, and on the staff card of 102 it also has a blank language code. Okay, so you just need to wait some time for this POS to load. And I think the POS button translation, so, and also it only translates the POS buttons on the POS journal pane. Like if you scan some items and the items, you want the items to show in both English and another language, what you can do is like this POS button translation will not achieve that because it only translates the buttons. So when in that case, when we're being asked by the customer, usually on the POS journal, we can show description 1, description 2. Then usually we use description 1 to show the language in English, and use description 2 to item description 2 to translate in your selected language. So this time I'm gonna use staff ID 102. Okay, so you could see even like these buttons, like in my login with staff 101, I specified the language code to be simplified Chinese. Then these buttons are showing in simplified Chinese. But for staff 102, I didn't select the language code. Then it's going to use the system default language, which is English United States. So these buttons do not get translated. Okay, so that's how the POS button translation works. And I mentioned about in the POS journal, this pane, the transaction pane you see here. Then for the item you scanned in, then if you want the item to show like both English and another, the description to show both English and another language. So sometimes when we implement that, we use the item card description as the original language and description 2 as the target language you wanted to translate to. Then we can add description 2 to this pane as well, so that you can see both language. You can see both your English and the other language. Okay, thank you so much for watching this YouTube video. I hope to see you guys again next time.